Welcome to Light Listening. I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Chris, and I'm so excited because today
I can tell.
we are going to talk about one of my very favorite songs. The song is D7, originally by the band The Wipers, and then later covered by Nirvana. So please go ahead and go listen to both versions. Try to find The Wipers D7 as well as Nirvana's cover of D7, and then meet us back here for our very exciting conversation. Very ominous sign, the birds bouncing off the window. Okay, anyway, I was very spoiled in the late 90s and early 2000s because
Spoiled.
I had the internet. And the internet at that time, you could find any music that you ever dreamed of through FTP sites and Napster and LimeWire, and you could get it all for free. You could download and pirate music. And so me and my friends would, we would download everything we ever imagined. And
Well, we can do the same nowadays too.
that's true.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was a big Nirvana fan, and I started downloading, Nirvana bootlegs and things like that. And there was one of them was a song called D7. Luckily for me, in parentheses on the file, it said Wipers cover. So I knew that it wasn't Nirvana's original song. I argued with people at that time, other Nirvana fans, they thought it was an original song because they had also downloaded it and it didn't have the little credentials. But anyway, that's how I first heard this song. And praise be to Nirvana because, Kurt Cobain would cover a lot of his favorite artists and then he would share that with the world and people like us could learn about, these obscure artists. The song D7 was originally on the Wipers album called Is This Real? I have this nice set, this 3 CD box set of Is This Real, Youth of America, and Over the Edge, which is the Wipers' first 3 main albums. Much later, I would spend some money on eBay to get bootlegs such as A Season in Hell, and much, much later, the Nirvana estate would release With the Lights Out box set, and all of these things you can find, some much more expensive than others, but they all have D7 on them. So we were doing a show about our last episode, which was about cover songs.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Mark Kozelek, the Finally LP, and we were talking about how Mark Kozelek covers songs and his very unique ability to take a song and make it completely different. After the video was over, I was so excited. I just couldn't stop thinking about cover songs, and I've always been interested in the ways people cover songs and the sound, what elements they choose to keep in or leave out. And D7 was a song that has always interested me because the Wipers version and the Nirvana version, I think, are the same. It's the same song. I mean, it's really, Nirvana didn't change anything, in my opinion. But there was some kind of a quality that Nirvana's version had that was not present in the original. And for years, I would listen to both, and I would try to figure out what is the difference. It's essentially the same song.
No, it didn't. Did you?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
I was always trying to figure this out. I told you this before. I couldn't figure out what the Nirvana magic was in there.
Okay.
I knew that Nirvana had performed D7 on John Peel's radio show. It's a Peel session from 1990. Nirvana appeared on BBC Radio 3 times, John Peel's show 3 times. It was the middle one, the second one. And they played D7 live on BBC Radio. And I asked you about it, and I said, can you listen to the songs and tell me something about it? Tell me your impressions about it. And you completely opened my eyes to one crucial factor that is different in these covers.
I don't think it's me. I mean, anyone could.
I couldn't.
I don't know why.
I'm deaf.
Yeah, I know. Like, what, like, it's not that complicated. I'm not talking about, like, a technicality of anything. It's just...
I couldn't figure it out. I knew that the drumming was significantly better. I know the sound of Nirvana, being a Nirvana fan. Kurt's guitar has that sound, that crunchy, when the pedal kicks in, and it sounds like Nirvana.
Yeah.
But that wasn't it. There was something else. Nirvana has... Oh, okay, so let's go to The Wipers. The Wipers song is very much a traditional punk song in the sense that it's very... the tempo is kind of what can I say, like choppy? Or it's like all of the notes are being hit like on the beat, right? Straight as an arrow, defect, you know what I mean? It's like all of the instruments are playing like very, like precisely,
Okay.
And contrasted with Nirvana's version of D7 where it has like I thought at first it was like a melodic quality. Because the way Kurt sings is a little bit more melodic. He stretches the vocals out a little bit more. But the guitar is doing exactly the same thing. The drumming is better. I mean, Dave Grohl is a better drummer, but it's not really that different. And then, how about the bass guitar?
Yeah, it's just the bass was sliding.
Sliding bass. Yeah.
Not like bum 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 bum.
Yeah.
It's rather
Right.
much more drunken sound.
A much more drunken sound. So the Wipers bass player he's playing notes. But Chris Novoselic from Nirvana is I guess he's sliding his hand but anyway, he's sliding.
I don't know much about bass. So.
Yeah, I mean he doesn't usually play that way.
Yeah.
I don't think. But you said, I don't know if you remember this when we were talking about it. You said it's like a seasick feeling.
Yeah, I was kind of getting dizzy.
Yeah.
Here and there,
Yeah.
actually. Like,
And that exactly was the feeling that I had all those years ago when I would listen to both versions back to back. And I was like, what about Nirvana has this like this unsettled, just kind of a like sick or just that dark feeling.
Yeah, it makes you feel dizzy. It's because it's just not defined, so you don't know where to really like. Because usually the bass just kind of holds the bass of the song, so it has to be solid and well established. But that's drunken when it's drunken, it's just you don't know how to be.
Yeah.
How to like
Yeah, and the guitar is keeping, of course, the guitar and drums are keeping that beat, but the bass is making the whole like the structure is not solid.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
we're in a liquefaction over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the key to it. That's the key to it. And so finally, after like 25 years of listening to these two songs, it's the same song, but listening to these two versions, you solved
I guess
the mystery.
But I couldn't believe it. Like, really? Like, I mean,
I can hear, once you said like he's sliding the bass,
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
I think often you don't hear the bass much.
I don't hear the bass.
Yeah,
I don't.
Unless like you really try to focus.
As a kid, when I would listen to music, I was always hearing like the singer.
Yeah.
And then I tried to hear the singer and the guitar. But the drums and the bass are often, I took it for granted. And then only later I was like, oh, drummers have different abilities. Like this drummer is good, this drummer is not so good. The White Stripes is really simple. Nirvana's drummer is amazing. So it took me a long time. But still, I feel like I don't have a sense of bass.
Yeah.
Unless it's very prominent, like Tool or something like that, where the bass is really like an emphasized part of the band.
Yeah.
In bands like that, then I feel like, okay. But yeah, Nirvana, oftentimes the bass and the guitar are doing similar things. And so it just gets, it's in there, but it's like, it's just beneath the guitar. So.
I like bass.
Yeah. I like the fact that you teach me about bass. So.
Yeah. Also, can I kind of say the original version, like at first especially, is kind of, do you feel like that? Well, I asked you if it was live version and it wasn't. It's a studio recorded.
Right.
Right.
Well, I don't know much about the Wipers in terms of the details of their recording. I am a fan of the Wipers because of Nirvana. They recorded their first EP on a 4-track, and they gave it to a distributor at a record store, and he said, "This is too lo-fi. Go back and record in a professional studio." And so they went back, and the album "Is This Real" was recorded in a studio in Portland, Oregon. But I don't know. I assume it was live in the studio.
It's a little weird because at first it sounds like everyone's kind of looking at the other ways.
Oh, really?
No one's trying to like coming together. Like to me, like it almost like sounded like lo-fi.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like lo-fi music is not like
they're not listening to each other.
Yeah, like the vertical line on the score isn't off.
Yeah,
like everyone's like counting the beats a little like, you know, a little wrong. I mean that's the point of lo-fi.
Yeah.
But I feel like this, like they were not listening to each other, and they were not coming like to play on the same like tempo or something like, and then it kind of becomes like unified. But
it becomes unified when it gets loud.
No,
or just as it goes.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
I don't
they
know.
started...
Maybe it's just me.
No. I mean, well, first of all, this is their first album. And so I don't know how much time they had playing before this. I mean, they were recording on a 4-track. In the singer guitarist is Greg Sage. They were in Greg Sage's bedroom or basement in their rehearsal space, and so I don't think that they had played together that much. The setup of the first album, the bassist and the drummer are only like basically for that album. Like they played together as a trio, and then those two guys left shortly after.
I mean, I don't love like too processed music, but at the same time, this is really raw. Yeah. To me. Yeah. And I'm sure you or you know people like you like that kind of thing, like raw and. Yeah. But it's just really too much. It's like. I feel like the whole time they're like right here, like left back, like kind of like too much. Defect.
The defect.
You just
defect.
God, and then like when you play the Nirvana version, like I mean Nirvana is not like even the band that sounds like very processed either.
Well,
but then like compared to this one, it's like okay, it sounds like a music.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know?
Well, Nirvana in 1990 was a very well-oiled machine in the sense that Kurt wasn't too drugged out yet. Dave Grohl had recently joined, but they had been playing a lot of shows. And so when they appeared on BBC One, I mean, they were just tight, you know, and it really shows in that performance. So it's a great performance, hands down. And then in addition to that, you know, the bass and the drumming, it just pushes it up. I love this song. I love D7. It's one of my very favorite songs. If I made a top 10 list of songs, I would probably put this song on there. Okay. I really love it because it's, you might argue with me, but I don't think there's a chorus to this song.
Yeah, well, you said that, and then
it's such an interesting structure.
Yeah, it's pretty much it's just that one melody and just kind of comes back in a different way, different tempo, you know, it becomes really heavy and
well, but then the heaviness is basically the first half of the song repeating, you know. I know. It's like
that's what I'm saying. The same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
In a different version in one song.
Right. The lyrics are very impressionistic. They don't make sense, but like you can put anything to that. And I think that influenced Kurt a lot because Kurt's lyrics are the same. He loves that kind of like, you know, it seems like he's saying something, but you're not really sure what it is. The Wipers are really, really good at that. And the way that it's put together, that really slow beginning, and then it becomes so heavy, and then there's the solo, and it starts to kind of slip down and then brings it back up. Nirvana actually doesn't go down. They just keep it. They just keep it amping up and amping up until the very, very end. But I always was fascinated by like, where is the chorus, you know? And yet it feels like a complete song. It really feels like it takes you somewhere. And yet I don't think that there's any kind of a chorus, really. Let me just, let me break out the old dusty guitar for a second.
Okay.
He just does that over and over again. I like this because it sounds a bit ominous. a bit dark, but it's not like cheesy.
Is the first string 0? Okay, yeah,
E.
then the E must
Yeah.
be then. Yeah.
This is E. This
Yeah,
is E.
so E.
And then
E, B, E then. Yeah, I guess I heard it right.
and then after that he goes like. Oops.
Okay.
And so that's like the only chorus that I could find was like the, you know, gonna leave this region. Yeah. And then after that, it just becomes power chords. It's just like a. And then. So those are just, I mean, that's like a blueprint for a Nirvana song. You know, I feel like Kurt put in his journals, he put, I think, 3 Wipers albums in his top albums of all time. And you could see how much he loved the Wipers. I mean, you listen to D7 and it really is like a Nirvana song, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like Kurt really, you know, people always say that he took a lot from like Black Sabbath and the Pixies. But I feel like he took a lot from the Wipers, much more than people really acknowledge. And rightly so, because the Wipers are an awesome band. A lot of people out on YouTube have covered D7, and they always say it's a Nirvana cover. Nobody ever says it's a Wipers cover. And I actually Googled D7 to try to get some more information before this video. And it said D7, a Nirvana song. It's like, the Wipers, baby, come on. It's not Nirvana song, it's a cover song by the Wipers, you know?
Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's so famous for being a Nirvana song, but D7 is actually Greg Sage.
What does D7 mean?
Well, D7 is a chord, the D7th chord. But I don't think they use that in the song.
No.
I was going to ask you that. Actually, if you look up D7, that's the first thing that comes up is
Yeah.
the D7th chord.
Defect?
Well, the lyrics, he says dimension 7.
Ah, so
You know, he repeats.
yes.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about the lyrics, I think, because I think they're really easy to hear. And I don't have anything really to add to it because I really think it's an impression that, you know, I should leave it up to you. I have my own idea of what it might be about, but I'm not going to talk about that because they're just so weird and so cool and you should just listen to it by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Being antisocial, basically.
Okay.
Being an outsider, being antisocial. And maybe feeling like you don't belong in this world. That's all I'll say. Anyway, yeah, I just really wanted to talk about... I wanted to do basically a little follow-up video to our Mark Kozelek video where we talked about cover songs. I hope if anybody out there is watching, maybe you can suggest other songs that we can talk about that, you know, the original and the cover. If you think it's interesting or if you want us to talk about it, give us some ideas. I have a whole bunch of cover songs that I'd like to talk about at some point because I'm really interested in that and how it works, you know. So next time we'll do music that you actually like.
Okay, that'll be very nice.
Okay. Do you have anything to say to the kind people in YouTube land?
No, sorry.
Do you want to just end the video then? Go ahead. You do the outro.
I forgot. What do you say?
Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.
Thank you so much for watching this video and thank you for letting him talk about what he loves and what he cares.
The Wipers, baby!
He really needs that. So, yeah. So, see you in the next video.
See you in the next time. Life. Goodbye. Thank you.